not running at all for some reason. Like I'm running this pip install for like 10 minutes now since the beginning of this meeting. Not running at all.
Do you want to try an alternate browser maybe?
Maybe I can try that. That would be helpful, I guess.
No, Ashish, we haven't started yet.
I tried using Chrome, but I'm still facing that issue. I don't know.
It's not connecting to
Exactly. I tried
runtime.
running it
It's
before
not
I
even
joined the
connecting
meeting,
to
then it
runtime.
was working. Now suddenly this happened. Even like in the previous meeting also, like Google Prep fails to run during the meeting for some reason.
Can you try switching your Google account to something else? To a different Google account, your
This is the
personal
person,
Google
but
account or something?
anyways, then what do you call the outputs won't be saved. That's the issue.
You can make a
Right.
copy of this and
Yeah,
import it
let
into
me
that.
try that.
You can in fact just copy paste the link of this and open it there. That will also have a
Yeah, let me
runtime.
do that. Yeah, I tried using my IT Madras email ID. I think now it's working. So yeah,
Nice, nice.
thank you for that. Okay, just give me 30 seconds. I will just run most of the things. Yeah, because I changed my account again, this authentication code is not working, but it's fine. Okay, let's not waste more time. I will just explain it today and maybe share the outputs in the next lecture, which is tomorrow only. Yeah. So hello everyone. I will start sharing my screen. So we will first revise the first three episodes we have done. Sorry, first four, not the last one, especially the first three. We can just go over what we have done till now. So let me start sharing the screen. Yes, so it would be a very fast overview. It's not very helpful though if you know the things. So we just talked about Python and how to print things in Python along with some operators and various kind of operators, assignment, comparison, and all those things. And we talk about string. So in string, we talk about how to manipulate the string after creating it, like through slicing and all those things. So that was the first episode. In the second episode, let's share this tab. Yes. In the second episode, we talk about lists, tuples, dictionary, and stuff. So just the basic idea, which are immutable, which are mutable, and the way to denote them, right? And after that, we talked about control flows, which include conditional statements, looping, and all these, and functions. So functions have a structure, right? And functions are very important in this Flask because you will create functions which will help you to do certain kind of things repetitively, right? Along with that, we talk about debugging. So I was literally, I was facing issues, right, in the beginning of this meeting. So those kind of things are also part of debugging. So what can you do? What can you not do? And that's all in episode 2. Let me go over episode 3. Yes, so episode 3 was mostly about the programming paradigm. So we talked about, oops, it won't be very important for the class session, but yeah, so the ideas are very nice. Polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation. So we will see in templates also, there are something known as templates which you use in class. So those things also have some kind of inheritance. I'm not sure like in how much detail we're going to do it, but these concepts are still there. The concept of inheritance. So let me share my collab. Just give me 10 seconds. Yes. So this is, I hope you can see my screen of collab. See, I'm really sorry, I might not be able to show you the output, but maybe I can share you some what do you call it, templated output of available on the internet. Like how does it look like, right? But I will run it and show it to you by tomorrow, day after tomorrow for sure. Right? So what is Flask? So just like there are a lot of Python libraries and all those kind of things are there, right? And similarly, there's some kind of software like SQL, then Jinga, then JavaScript. So Flask is some kind of software which you can incorporate Python so that you can make your own website, right? So, but these websites have some limitation. It can't be used like a normal website, but there's some kind of limitation. But you can access them quickly and edit them quickly through your Python code. So that's a very good thing. So it makes it more user friendly in that way, right? So here are some uses why Flask is used for web development. So it's first of all it's lightweight, flexible, extensible, and easy to learn. Right? So there are a lot of properties of that. You can go over it when you read through this collab file. This is the same collab file which I've used for the first 4 episodes as well. This is the same collab file you can find in the drive. Maybe I can share it to you at the end of the session. It's there because in most of the previous session I was wasting a lot of time in typing stuff. So that's why today I've made everything in the collab so that I can invest time more on the code. Right. So there is some basic structure in Flask. Let me zoom in slightly. I think too small. Okay. 1 second. Right. So in order to have a website, you need to have like a HTTP thing, right? You need to have a web link. So for that, the first task for us to is to have to send a request to the to that web link so that we can work on that. Then Flask is the internal structure which will help you connect through these and put something on the website. So you will do something through Python, and Flask will try to interpret is might be a wrong word. So it will help you to put something on the website, and you use appropriate function and execute them to generate a response which could be visible on the website depending on what you want, right? And this response is again sent back to client. So there's some kind of terminologies like request, response, client, and server, right? So you send a request to the server, right? So the server has some kind of properties which you can implement with Python and Flask, and it will perform and execute something and will send back the response to the client. So these four terminology need to be very careful. Client sends a request to server, and server produces a response for the client, right? So in Python, in order to use Flask, you need to install some library, right? So as usual, as you have seen for pandas and numpy, if you have not seen, that's completely fine. or like math module, which you have seen already, right, in the previous lecture. The math module, we imported it, right, using, but we just wrote import math because it was already there. But the Flask thing might not be available in a collab. Usually, some modules are available, but in order to just make sure like we are on the same page, we use this exclamation pip install the module that you want to import, right? So that's all. You install it through this. I'm not running it right now. There's some issue that I'm facing, right? So now let's see the structure of a Flask app. So once again, I think there's some integration issue here. Yes. The thing is, we will see these all these four things. Okay, it will be visible to you very soon when we'll run the course. So first is the app.py. So it helps you. It's the Python portion of your web development, right? So it helps you to execute something, run some function, which is more for which you are more comfortable with to write things, right? And you have some templates. So you already have some HTML templates for the website, so you don't have to waste a lot of time in creating them. So you can directly use these templates, or you can make them as well. So these help you to separate out the things, right? So you have the execution part handled by the app, then you have the template, then you have the views viewer. This is the output that you want to see and the way you want to see it, right? The name is interesting by itself. And we will see what is static. We will see it soon, like what is the purpose in a very naive way, not in a very detailed way, right? So this is the structure of Flask app. And the thing is, I'm just putting a lot of jargon, right? I'm just telling you a lot of words. So until we see some actual code, you won't be able to understand that well. So just wait. Right. So first I've installed, I have imported the module. By first installing, but it was not available in Collab. Then, in order to use ngrok, I need to earlier they allowed you to use it directly, but because of the popular demand and it was getting too much of messy, you have to first log into their website and get the authentication code, which this is mine, but I can just change it. Even though I'm sharing it to you, I don't need to worry about because I can drop this authentication code token and change it. Right. So you will also have to first go to the website of ngrok. Let me show the website as well. Just give me a second. Yes, Javardhan.
When you added the website, can you please explain a bit about ngrok and why we're using it with Flask?
Right. So that's a good question. Actually, if we were using writing the code and using Flask in a like a normal what do you call it, local system, you don't need ngrok. Ngrok is something which was built so that you can use this on platforms like Jupyter and Colab, because these kind of platform doesn't have the same structure as a local file. Sorry, local system, right? So that's why ngrok was made up. So there are other features of ngrok as well, but the main purpose which we are going to look at is because Collab doesn't have the local system properties. That's why we have ngrok. So this helps you to make a website kind of thing, which you can through which you can view your output of your Flask and Python command. That's the only purpose right now. Right. So let me show you the website as well. Does that answer your question, by the way, Jayavardhan? Does that answer
Sorry?
your question even slightly?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you.
Yes, Rashmika. Yeah, if somebody raise their hand, they can ask the question, by the way. I can see the name. It's Rashmika Rohit, I guess. Okay, it's fine. I think we did a mistake. So this is the website, right? ngrok. Let me share you the link as well of this. You might not be able to see the web link. So just check the chat. And so this is the website where you have to log in through your Gmail account, GitHub. There are a lot of other kind of things that you can log in through. Right after that, you will go to your dashboard and you will find an authentication token which you can use in a collab. Right. So after that, now the main thing comes. Your app is somewhat. I think you can see my collab. So here I've written app right here. This code. The app is some kind of like the normal application that we have on a phone. So this application will hold a website somehow. So Flask is the person that will. So here I've written Flask underscore name underscore, right. So this Flask is somewhat kind of a class or a module which is helping you to make that application, right. So this app will hold the identity of that, and I will run it through ngrok, because as I already told, the Javelin asked a very nice question about it. Why I'm using ngrok? So ngrok will help you to access this website, even though this is not your local system, the codes are not your local system, you can still access the website, right? So this is the syntax that you need to follow. So just remember it, or you can just copy paste it. You don't need to remember nowadays, right? So again, I have written the same code. So how to create a basic uh, Flask application, or you can just call it a website for now, right? So I've again written the same code. I've made an object of the Flask thing, right? And then I defined two functions, def home, right, which just returns hello Flask running on Google Colab. So let me show you the output. And I will also explain this. There is something known as app.root. These kind of things are also there, right? So we will talk about it in few minutes. I just want to show you the output of this. Mm, Okay, I found a very bad image. It's like very hazy. Sorry for that. So yeah, so you will get a web link through that ngrok which you can open. And when you open, and when you first to run that code, which I showed you, right, where the function home was returning something, right? So whatever it was returning, it will show something like this on the screen when you open that website, right? So let me come back to Collab, right? Yes, Jayavardhan.
No, I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay,
Please
that's fine,
continue.
that's fine. Yes, so I don't need to write that the thing which I written, the main thing. You can just run it like this. So run function is used to run your application. That's all. So this home is something like, as we have seen in website, right? Most of the website that we have seen has a home page, right? So this home page is associated to this home function here, right? But not all websites are made using these. But for a general setting, if you see, so the home website correspond to this function home, right? And now we will talk about root, that at the rate app.root, something I have written, right? So just take 10 seconds, just read this para. I will also explain it, but just take 10 seconds to read it by yourself.
Okay, so in the parenthesis of @app.root, we can use a custom URL for our website when we are hosting it on
Yes,
ngrok.
you're right. So that's the point. Yeah. So that's a good thing that you have read through it. So that's the point. So in root is something like this, the directory in your local system, right? Somewhat like that. So whatever you put, you can whatever URL that you put inside that, you can access it using that. So this ngrok will give you a dummy website. So if you put this extra root up, extending it to the URL given by you to by ngrok, you will go to that website which you have created using this root. So here, as you can see, this slash. The slash somehow denotes, like when you just open a website, their homepage, there's nothing written, right? You just have that website name, and there is not anything after that website name, right? So it's somewhat like that. The slash denotes nothing. Only we'll have a slash. So it's something like, let's say, let's give an example. Just give me a second. Okay, let me see if I can paste an image here. Just give me a second. Oh, I don't think I can. Oh, yeah, it was visible. Done. Right, so this is the IT Madras website. As you can see, you just so ngrok will also give you some kind of website, obviously not this nice like www.itm, but somewhat this def home, when you just put its roots at just the slash. So this is the original website. It's the what do you call root website. So this slash will just denote this root website. You don't need to have extra URL after that. So there could be like, after this website itm.ac.in slash, you can have suppose timetable, practical information. So those kind of things you can put inside the root to create those mini website which you can access through this root website. Right. So that is the idea. So at the rate app.root, and whatever you put inside, you can use that URL by extending the root website. Right. So here home, add the root website slash, that's fine. So you can have something else also. Suppose I give an example of def timetable. Right. So For the app root, what I can do is I can put @app dot. Right, I have made an extension of the original root website by putting a timetable. So whatever I write inside this function timetable, that will be outputted on the screen. So suppose I written yet to be made, right? That is the idea. And one thing you have seen, I have written debug is equal to true. So there's some kind of internal system which Flask. Yes, Shivam.
Can you explain what the @app root will do?
Yeah, actually, I was literally explaining that only. So this app dot root will tell you the actual URL you need to use to access that function, right? So this def home can be accessed without putting any extra stuff. So this, as you can see, www.itmadras.ac.in, that thing is there. So this is the root website which will given to you by ngrok, but not in this very nice form. So if you just open this, you will actually run def home, right? But when you open itmadras.ac.in/timetable, you will run this function, which is def timetable. You're just telling which URL you need to follow to run that function. That's the only point, right? Yes. I have written the explanation as well. You can go over it. And yes, I was telling about debug is equal to true. This is the inbuilt debugging feature which Flask has, which is nice. But sometimes you might face some very different issues, which you can search nowadays. The Stack Exchange is there, so you can take help from there, or even ChatGPT. Not even the Stack Exchange, you have ChatGPT as well, right? But most of the basic debugging process are actually done internally through if you put debug is equal to, right? So here's another example. So you have made a root about and have written a function def about which returns something, right? But this is a raw HTML form. I have written also a Flask allows returning raw HTML content as responses. So if you sorry, if you're not aware about HTML, that's fine. But this is something you this just shows you can incorporate HTML and CSS, JavaScript. These kind of things can also be incorporated through Flask and Python. That is the whole point. Just give me a second. Yes. So now as you can see, I have made another sub URL, which is user/name. So this is a custom URL, right? So you can pass variables in the URL, as I've seen, as I've told, dynamic routes, right? So how will you make it? So whatever name you put, it will make the website for that as user a name. So suppose you have seen the professor websites on IT Madras, right? So after that extension, itmadras.ac.in, they can have suppose /teaching /some professor name, right? So this is how you use the class to create those kind of things, right? So this name is dynamic here, whatever is written, it's a dynamic setting, and it will just return hello, whatever name you have, welcome to Flask. So we have seen this f string in previous lectures. I don't remember the lecture number. I think first or second. So this f will help you to substitute that name variable with the actual thing that you want to insert, right? Which depends on your root. That is the idea. So you can create dynamic roots as that. Yes, as you can see in this explanation, when accessing /user/John, the output will be hello John, welcome to Flask, right? That is the whole point. Now, so we can also pass query parameters allow passing additional data through the URL using key value pairs, right? So can anybody explain what I have written in the code? You don't need to understand. Most of the thing is obvious. So can anybody try to explain what I have written? Anybody wants to try explaining? So it's just saying that you can access another URL in your original website as well, right? So as I already told about four terminologies: request, response, client, and server, right? So you are requesting that URL, which is kind of a server. You're requesting this URL, which is kind of a server, to return you something, right? So this query. So you request this website, which is some here it's queue, right? So you can request this website to to give some kind of response, right? And you can return it. You have written return if you search for this query. So this query is a variable which will be substituted by whatever response you get from that URL, right? That's the idea. And here, as you can see, app root is given as /search, right? So again, as you can see, this app root will come again and again to just, and this is very important, right? This is showing you the actual place that you need to access, through which you can access your website, right? So any doubts till now? I will start with the new topic from here.
No doubt.
Great. So let me slightly trace back. So as you can see, I already mentioned about templates. Right? I've already shown you how to make apps. So whatever code I have shown you, actually those are Python codes, right? So those will be saved in app.py if you were writing these codes in a local system, right? But now I can use some templates which will help you to distribute the work. Otherwise, it becomes very messy to have everything on the same code. So you can also use the original templates which you can. So if you've seen, if you have opened some website and you right click and open inspect, so you can actually see their HTML code. So instead of writing that in a Python code and make it more messy, you can save them in a HTML file or some other file, whichever template you want to use. So currently we're looking at HTML template. So let's see. Just give me a second. Let me zoom out. Actually, can't see because of the Google, sorry, Google Meet coming in between, right? Yes. So, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. JNJ2, Jinja2 or Jinga2. I think it's Jinga2. I'm not sure. Please verify it once. So, Flask, in order to combine Python code and HTML, it uses this software, which is I'm calling J2, just to be safe. Right? So it helps you to do dynamic rendering. So what is dynamic? Dynamic we've already seen. So while running the code, you can change your output or the execution depending on the runtime input. And rendering means you're executing something, right? So in order to get a response or get an output, that thing is somewhat synonymously known as rendering. You're executing something, right? So J2 templating. So I've shown you a template. So from Flask, import Flask. That is not needed. I've already imported it once, so I can remove it for now. I'm importing render template. So if I have a template, so this is an example. Suppose I have stored the template index.html in some place, right? And I need to specify the directory. That's a different thing. But for example, suppose it is specified in templates file, which has index.html. So this is the HTML code. So if you don't know HTML code, that's completely fine. That's why we have templates, right? So you can directly use these templates and you can place whatever you need at the correct position. I can use it. Don't need to know complete HTML thing, right? So now, in order to render those templates, I need to import render underscore template, and then I will create an app and I will fix the root slash because it's home. So usually we just take the root website as the home, and I use the function render template and I put that HTML file which I have access to, right? So this index.html should be in the same directory as the app.py. Otherwise, you can't access it directly. Otherwise, you have to mention the full path, right? And this render the template will render this HTML and it will show on the website. So maybe I didn't mention the beginning. So most of the websites which we see are just based on HTML, right? Or some incorporation of HTML with JavaScript or some other languages which are useful to make the website, right? So instead of like writing everything, so as you can see in the first example, return hello, welcome to Flask. So this is shown as something like this. Where is that picture? Just give me a second. So this is visual something like this. It's not very great, right? But you can use HTML uh, to place your words or even make tables, more with more variety in font size, colors, and everything, right? So you can make a better website using HTML. So instead of like writing everything on Python, you can use the template and present it in the home screen using this code def home with root as underscore, and you return the render template, right? And this is another example of the dynamic rendering, right? So let me zoom in. So I made the root. Okay, just give me a second. There's a lot of noise right now. Just give me 1 minute. Right, so as I already discussed about dynamic rendering, so let me go back to that example. So now I have already talked about dynamic routing, right? Not rendering. In dynamic routing, this less than name greater than that I have used, right? So that will help give you the dynamic setting. So here also the root is dynamic, and the rendering template, the template itself is also dynamic, right? As you can see, hello, and this sorry, this double times curly braces and have username. So this username is a variable which you can substitute with whatever you have. Right? So you're given a name, you're given that name as input. You can substitute the username with that name, and you can render your template. So an example would be suppose I run greet Vardhan. So your HTML code will become something like this. By the way, H1 is a headline thing, so it's fine if you don't understand HTML. It's completely fine, not required. So you will have hello Vardhan, right? Something like this, and you will close this heading. If you put this inside a comment, right? So there are two layers of dynamicness here, right? First, dynamic nature is while rendering the template, that HTML template, you substitute the variable username with the name that you want, which is this, right? Through this, and after that you render it, and depending on that name, you can have your root something like this, right? So it's double kind of dynamicness I have for both for root and for the template. So that's why it's known as dynamic rendering of the HTML code. Any doubts till now? Yes, Rashmika. You have raised your hand, Rashmika Rohit. If I'm not pronouncing it wrong. Okay, just give me a 1 minute break. I have to drink some water. So till then, if you have any doubts, just collect it. I will just resolve it. Right? Just give me a minute. Yes, sorry for the delay. So if there are no doubts, let me start. So right in HTML, we have something known as form. So you don't need to understand what's a form specifically. It's somewhat a collection of data that you make. So as you can see here, I have something known as label, some input. These kind of things are there. So I will share you some resources also to understand some basic HTML, right? So that you just know. You don't need to write the things. You can use the templates directly, but I will share you some resources in the collab itself so that you understand the basic thing, right? So there's something known as form. This form has two, uh, sorry, has two properties which you can use. First is not two properties, functionality. One is get and another is post. So get is used to display the form, and post is used to process the data, as I have written in the text of the in the collab file itself. Right. So while making the root, if you put method, which is a function, right? Method is another name for function. So put the method as get, you can render that form. So form you can just see as a HTML code right now. You don't need to understand anything about it. The form is just a HTML code. So in order to display the form, you render that form, right? So you have your rendering template form.html, right? As you can see. It is the similar to what we have seen till now. Otherwise, there is another method known as post, which helps you to process your data. So you can process the data as well using the method if you put method as post. But one thing you need to remember, this get and post are both inside a list, right? And the name get and post are also strings. They're not just a method name, they're also a string and given inside a given inside a list. Right now you can process it. So as you can see, it's just you can understand as a normal form also. So you can request names, you can request emails. So it will have multiple columns, right? It can have multiple columns like name, email, phone number. So using the post method, if you put post as the method you want to access, you can gain the access and request the form to give you name and email and directly print it. So you can print it using this return f name and your email is this using the f string. That is the idea. I'm just giving an overall idea. So if you don't understand some portion, that's completely fine. It makes sense. But the thing is, you need to get through this syntax, and you can use this as the way you need it later on. You don't need to like know every portion of this code, right? You just need to know how to use it. Yes, Shiva.
So, what is form here? Does form contains name or
Okay, so I will
email?
just give you a brief overview in the sense. So you have seen Google Form, right? So Google Form asks you like multiple questions. So these multiple questions are processed and stored in a spreadsheet, right? But you don't have
Yes.
the direct access to it. So right, so the form is somewhat like a slight secure sense of a table or a set of collection of data. So you need to request those data, right? So here as you can see, I've imported a request. I did not tell you. I imported something known as request. So this request object on, I'm not sure it's an object or a class right now. So whatever this is, you write request.form. So you're requesting that Google form. For now, I'm just using the word Google form to give you the name or the specific email that you want, right? So requesting this, you get access to the name and email, and you can print it. That's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and but let me just clarify it as well. I might be very technically wrong. I'm just giving overall idea, right? So I'm not telling you the exact meaning. So just don't take my words in the direct way. I'm just giving the idea like how it is working. So requesting the name and email like a Google spreadsheet. Yes, you have form to the Google form. It's something like that. And you're rendering that template. So this rendering, Shivam, can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. Yes. So get will help you to render your form, and post will help you to process the data by accessing what it has and what it does not have. Right. So according to the way you want. That's the whole idea. And this is another example which you can go over for the dictionary like object. So I'm not going over it. It's not very important right now. Yes, this is another feature. So you can include, because of the Python has a lot of functionality of various conditional statements, right? So you can use various conditional statements and display temporary messages. So one thing before that also I want to show, as I've written methods get and post, right? So they're like separated, but they're also given as a list. So one thing you should be, yes, Shivam.
Uh, in the above slide, request.form is written, but in the down slide, request.form.get is written. So what is the difference? Is it
By the
getting
way, have you taken a
or
Python
what?
course? So in dictionary, this get will help you to avoid errors if that key does not exist. So in some way, this get is from the dictionary. It's not from the Flask issue. It's not from the Flask. It's from the dictionary setting.
Okay, so what will the above uh, gives the output
Ah,
request.form?
correct,
What
correct.
is the
That's a good question.
difference?
So suppose you have a dictionary like object. So if you want to access the key name, if it is there, it will give you the thing. If it is not there, it will return you unknown. That's the idea. But here, if you face some issues, it is debug is equal to true will return something. I have not written the output. I'm not sure what it returns, but it returns something which does not stop your code from running. It just returns something and continues running for the next iteration. That is the idea. Yes.
Oh,
And so one thing I was telling was methods is equal to post, but that post is inside a list. So this shows that you can have multiple methods inside the list as well, right? So this is something which I'm using here also. So I made an app root, which is at the original website or original URL. and have access both the methods at the same time so that I can use it properly, right? Just give me a second. Let me go over the code as well. If request.method is post, sure. Yes. So as you can see, depending on what the client is requesting the server, so this is a more dynamic setting, right? So as you can see, it's more dynamic. This gives you more dynamic feature. If user wants you to, if user wants the server to process the data, you can use the post. Otherwise, you can post the, you can use the get. So let me write the code more explicitly as return this. So it's either post or get. So depending on the user request, you can send temporary messages. That's what I want to show. Display temporary messages. So if the user requests post, you can show responses depending on that. Otherwise, it is get, right? So if it's get, you will just render the template which you have given by the name form.html. You can have any name inside that. That doesn't matter, but it should be a form. The form is a structure which you have in HTML which you need to render. That's the idea. So just go over the code as well after the class. This is available in Collab, right? Yes. So let me now take the JavaScript portion. Let me remove this. Just give me a second. Oh, I think I won't be able to remove. Yes. So, oh, got it. Right. So JavaScript don't need to worry about right now. Mostly we'll focus on HTML portion. So that is more important. It would be important for a challenge, which I will share by today night. Let me remove the block. Okay, never mind. Let it be here. Yes. So that was all. Let me just revise what I did. I did not do a lot of things, first of all, right? So first thing I told you about Flask. So how Flask will help you make website. So the two things which I talked about today was app and template, right? So this app will help you make a website using the Python code, and so this app and some kind of object of the Flask class. So this will help you make a website which renders, sorry, not renders, which executes some Python code, right? And you can specify the URL also that you want. So here I have specified the URL using root @app.root, and inside that, in a string, I have specified the URL, which could extend the original URL as I showed in the example also. This IIT www.iitmadras.ac.in is the original or the root URL, and you can extend it using that @app.root. This corresponds to a function, so here it corresponded to the function home. And similarly, you can have multiple functions corresponding to their unique root, right? And there is one more functionality, debug is equal to true. So if you put that while running your application, it will remove the, it will not remove, it will help you to handle some basic exception which are much more common, right? And similarly, you can have more dynamic setting in the root. You can, you might not able to specify the root at the instance while running, depending on what is the input and all. Here the input was named, right? So you can specify the root using that. So it's helpful for making website which has like multiple people. So depending on the people that you want to make a website for, you can put that name in this function and you can access it, right? So that's all. I have also showed you how to use f strings also throughout this procedure and dictionary. So this is the dictionary. So somebody asked me what is this get, right? But that was for a different portion. This get is somewhat it's a portion of a dictionary which we use. So we will see this example also. I will show you the output. That time to make it more clear how this get is being used. So here I'm actually asking the URL to return me something, right? So whatever the thing is written, it's stored in a query, and it is returned on the actual screen at this tool, which is search. That's the idea. Then I talked about how I can render HTML files. So if you fix a HTML template and store it some directory, you can render it through your Python code. First, you need to import this function render underscore template, right? So if you put the HTML file inside that, it will help you render that. That is the idea. And similarly, you can also have dynamic rendering. So apart from having dynamic root, you can also have dynamic rendering. That's what I talked about. And there's some special things known as form in HTML, which also has two functionalities: get and post. Get is used to just show that form, and post is used to process that form in some way. And in order to process that form, you need to request some specific keys or specific columns of that, right? So you use request.form, and you put whatever portion that you need to access. right? And you need to ensure you have debug is equal to true, because sometimes the minute errors are there which are not handled. Otherwise, if you want to handle it by yourself, it will make it more notorious. You will take a lot of time. So it's best to have debug is equal to true, so that it is able to handle the most common small errors, right? So that is what I did today. Any doubts till now? And please, okay,
No.
great. And please try to go over this code. Let me share the collab link here only in the chat. In a second. So please go over it once. Right, and there could be an issue that you might not be able to run something. I will try to make some edits so that it runs properly on collab, because there is always an issue on collab while running, right? So I'm here to take some doubts if you guys have any. And you can skip these last portion. It's not very useful right now. And we will see more application tomorrow. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'm not sure, but in the next lecture, we will see more application of this. And maybe I can show you the output during the lecture itself. So if there are no doubts, thank you everyone. Vedant, are you there? Okay, Rashmika is asking something. I can't understand rendering. So okay, rendering is just synonymous to actually executing or running something. So in order to like, uh, okay, one second, let me give an idea. So if you have a Python file, if you just read it, you're not getting anything, right? Until you run it, or it shows you something which is more readable to you, right? So similarly, as you can see this HTML code, one second. This is a basic HTML code, right? So if you see this, it's not very useful to you. You don't see anything what to do about it, right? So you need to render it, somehow process it. So rendering some kind of processing, execution, or running, which will help you make it more lookable or more viewable, right? So using Python, you can render this template, HTML template. That's all. That's the idea. Nothing else. Anything else? If not, that's all for today from my side. Thank you everyone for joining.